happy GA Flashback Friday, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. I am so over this week. It's still raining. We are on like day 6 of rain. It's still nasty, gross outside, and if it does not stop soon, I'm going to be doing these videos by boat. Because I'm going to be underwater, and it's going to be bad. This has been awful. Like, it's messed with my internet, it's messed with my TV, it's messed with my life and my mood, and I'm just over it. I am just, like, borderline, like, depressed at this point. It is just, ugh. Like, I am down with gray and dreary because it makes for sleeping weather, but for whatever reason this week, I think just because I'm not used to this, I mean, it doesn't do this normally in Missouri in June. I mean, we get rain, but not rain and rain and rain and rain and rain. And now on top of that, we're getting like the remnants of a leftover tropical storm from Texas or something. I don't even know. But it's just, I am just, ugh. I haven't felt good all week anyway. I don't really know I don't know if it's an empath thing. I don't know what's going on, but I have been just inky all week and sad and depressed and blech. And this weather has not made it any better, but I'm hoping that tomorrow is like a break in the weather. We're supposed to have sun, but on the flip side of that, it's supposed to be like 97 degrees. So I think I'm just going to sit in my house and eat bad for me junk food and unhealthy meals and watch Netflix and do nothing because I'm just over it. But we are not here to talk about the fact that Mother Nature has failed me or that I'm going to clog my arteries and binge watch TV. We are here for GA Flashback Friday, where we recap one of our past favorite episodes of Ghost Adventures, and today is no exception to that rule because we are recapping one of my top 5 favorites, Pennhurst State School and Hospital. This episode, though, is cram-packed with activity and evidence and great history, and so we are going to get started because, as always, I can ramble and it will go long, and then I'm just, over it. So, as always, I like to give you guys a little bit of history before we get into lockdown breakdown. And Pennhurst State School is located in Spring City, Pennsylvania. It was built in 1908, and it was designed to house the mentally ill and the mentally disabled. Now, when you put mentally ill and mentally disabled in the same area, that is going to be a cause for disaster because mentally ill and mentally disabled are 2 different things. Mentally ill means you're crazy, and mentally disabled means you can't help it. You were born with either a birth defect or some sort of mental disease that keeps you from being who you want to be. Mental illness just means that you're nuts. Or that you can be if you don't take care of yourself. Mental illness can be managed, controlled, changed. You can be a normal functioning human being with a mental illness if you take your medication the way that you're supposed to and you do counseling and do therapy. It can be controlled. Mental disability, like, Down syndrome or cerebral palsy or anything like that, those are things that a pill can't fix or can't make better. And when you put someone who is maybe in there for a sex addiction, or they have an illness that, makes them schizophrenic or they go psychotic, and, then you have somebody who can't walk or speak for themselves or express themselves, and you put those 2 people together, that is cause for disaster because you get things like abuse and murder and sexual assault and just violence across the board. Now, Pennhurst was home to over 10,000 people. It spans over 100 acres, so this place is huge, and it's all connected by a very big underground tunnel system that happens to be insanely freaking haunted. Now, over half of those people, so over half of the 10,000 didn't make it out of there. So you're looking at over 5,000 people died within these walls. That right there just opens the doorway for it to be an insanely flipping haunted place. Not to mention, the conditions at Pennhurst were less than desirable. We're talking 100 people, 100 children or kids or adults or both in a room, some clothed, most not, just milling around, just banging their heads into walls and, using the bathroom on the floor and screaming and biting and spitting and speaking of biting, this place, when you would bite somebody, if you were a patient at Pennhurst and you would bite somebody, your first offense would be taught. You would be taught not to bite. Right? That's what we do with our children. They bite us, we bite them back, boom, they don't bite anymore, right? Wrong. You're dealing with someone with a mental disability. They don't understand. So what was their solution? Oh, we're just going to take them down to the dental chair and pull all their teeth out. What? Are you kidding me? No, just no. I can't even fathom. And then what really got to me watching the history of this during the walkthrough was that they spent more money on the animals at the zoo than in one day than they did giving these poor people, these poor helpless people, the help they needed. So food, clothing, a stable environment, and psychiatric care. On average, 75 cents a day was left out of like the $5 a day to take care of these people at Pennhurst. So that was to feed them, clothe them, give them proper medical attention and care and therapy that they needed. That's pathetic. These are human beings, and you're treating them worse than animals in a zoo. I would haunt you too. And yeah, I'm sassy because I've grown up, not only do I have a daughter with special needs, because she's autistic, and in 1968, someone like my daughter would have been placed in one of these institutions because that's what parents did back then. Not everyone did that, but that's what they were told to do. So children like my daughter were in that place. And my daughter's a fully functioning human being who can speak and think for herself, and she's very bright and very smart. But she still would have been placed there because she was labeled with a mental disability. I had an uncle, a great uncle, who was born in the 50s, who my great grandmother said, no, I'm not going to do that. He had Down syndrome. I'm not going to institutionalize him. Did he live in a home toward the end of his life? Yes, he did. He lived in an institute, like in a nursing, like an assisted living home. But he had his own room and his own space and his own food, and he was fed and well taken care of. But that was because my great-grandmother did not let him become a part of the system. But that's what would have happened to him. And when that hits close to home like that, it really irks me because they're people. And then you want to know why they're restless. It's just, beyond me. So lockdown breakdown, needless to say, was interesting. Now we are going to start in the underground tunnels where this whole place is connected. So the whole place is connected with these underground tunnels. And these underground tunnels do not play. They got some really good evidence down there. They got a woman screaming in Tunnel A. And then they got an EVP that said, sweet. And then they had a jazzy moment. Now, if you know me at all, on any level, on any decent level, you know that a jazzy moment usually involves me falling on something. I am the most clumsy person on the planet. I will fall over my own feet. I will run into tables. I will fall out of bed. It's ridiculous. Like, I am going to go on the record and say I got out of my bed to go pee, and I fell and ran into my closet door. Like, I fell, and I was completely sober. I fell, hit the table, slammed my face into my closet door. Who does that? This girl. I've dropped my cell phone on my face. We've talked about my clumsiness on many occasions. Nick pulled a jazzy moment in the underground tunnels as they started lockdown. Now, as you know, the guys work in pitch black darkness. The only thing they use is their night vision cameras. And you see it coming. Nick is kind of walking through these tunnels. He's behind Zach, and he kind of angles into the right. And there's a chair that is like laid over on the ground, like an office chair. And he just topples right onto it and lands in like nastiness, stankiness, cuts his arm all up, like needs a tetanus shot and a rabies vaccine, kind of gross. That would have totally been me. I seem to like sniff out those places subconsciously. Like if there is a crack in the sidewalk that is this big, I will find it and fall over it. I can hear my other admins and everyone making fun of me now. I'm prepared for the backlash. It's okay. I laugh at myself. I have to. Otherwise, I would just spend the rest of my life mad. So laugh away. Yes. Make fun of me. Yes. I know I would have done it. Yes, I know. So I had to point it out because it's a jazzy moment. It would have happened to me and it was kind of funny. And yes, I did laugh. But that's just because I don't like Nick and we all know that. They then go into the Mayflower building, which is one of the other hotspots in the complex. And they get a couple of EVPs, they get a bunch of footsteps, a bunch of noise, and they get a spike on the EMF detector that was at a 0.0 and it spikes up to a 2.7, and they get a little bit of temperature fluctuation. Now, they go into the Rockwell building, which at the beginning of the episode, they are doing their walkthrough and their interviews, and they hear this really loud banging noise, and they run and find out what it was, and this desk had like been slid and flipped over, and there was nobody there. So they actually got their first piece of evidence from that building before they even started lockdown, so they went back to the Rockwell building to get more evidence, to see if they could get more evidence, and boy, did they get more evidence. Zach got a rock thrown at him, and then they heard this hissing noise, like it was like a I was like, what the hell is that? Why are you hissing at people? Seriously? Like, who hisses at people? The only thing I know that hisses at people are cats, snakes, demons, and apparently pissed off spirits, because that was a straight up, I was waiting for fangs and claws. Oh, Lord. And then they heard a door opening on the static night vision camera after they left. Now, the final building that they go into is Quaker Hall, which is the biggest hotspot in the complex. It had the most difficult patients. It housed the most dark energy. And so they bust out the video goggles with the database. They've used them a couple of times where one person has it on a camera and then they have it in their camera screen and they can see it. And they are asking, you know, what did they used to do to you in here? And they get on the video goggles the word hit. Now, as you're walking by, you see in the frame this coat rack leaned against this wall, this opposite wall, right? It's laying there. Zach and Nick walk by it, and they have the goggles. Nick's got the little camera handheld thing, and Zach's got the goggles, and he gets hit. He's like, is that what they used to do to you in here, was hit you? He's like, well, hit me. And so he, like, walks into the room. So now the coat rack is here, and they're on the opposite side of the wall in a doorway. And he goes and he turns around and he comes back out of the room, and all of a sudden that coat rack that was on the opposite side of the wall has now come around the corner and slammed into Zach, hitting him like right here, like in the heart, like right where, like right toward his heart. And this is a big, heavy coat rack. This isn't like something that could slide and fall and conveniently hit him. It had to be lifted up, moved around, and hit him. And Nick is in the doorway filming Zach. Aaron is behind him, and Zach's walking out of the doorway, and this thing zooms past Nick and hits him in the chest. Hands down, best piece of evidence from the entire night. Oh my God. No. That took some force, and that cannot be explained. That is one of the main reasons I absolutely love this episode, because there was a few things that happened. First of all, a rock being thrown, the desk being flipped over before lockdown even started, and then this pole, this coat rack coming around the corner and hitting him in the chest. Oh, hell no. I would have been out. I would have had pee going down my leg, and I would have been out. And then I would have come back and wanted more, because that's how I am. But it was just an amazing location with great pieces of evidence, and it was very active, and it's at the same time a very sad place. It's filled with a lot of heartbreak. It's filled with a lot of heartache. It's filled with a lot of dark, negative energy, and it's just really, really sad. But I love the episode because it's one of those episodes. In my top 5, you've learned that those are my episodes that made me fall in love with the show, and made me a bigger believer in the paranormal. I've always been a believer in the paranormal. I've never doubted it. But those can make the biggest skeptics believers. So bravo, Pennhurst. You get like a 10 out of 10. I absolutely love it. It's hands down one of the best episodes and one of the best locations that they have ever been to. So that is all I have for GA Flashback Friday. I will be back on Tuesday for GAQA Tuesday, where I answer all of your Ghost Adventures related questions that you ask me all up on the Facebook page. But I am going to go slip into my pajamas, eat some nasty fried food, and probably binge watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because that is the next thing on my list to binge watch, because I just finished Orange is the New Black Season 3, and if you have not seen it, you are missing out. If you go, I have never watched Orange is the New Black, oh my God, you are not living. Watch the show from Season 1 to Season 3. You will fall madly in love, and then binge watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Daredevil and All of the Above on Netflix because they're awesome. Just saying. I could give you lists to binge watch on Netflix because I'm a Netflix junkie. So I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I am going to go binge watch and eat fried food, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Much love and happiness.